Today I share a fun and easy technique to create a decorative edge on your cards. It's time for another Take Two with Therese at Altenew, and I have two cards to share with you today. I'm going to be using the statement flowers, and this is a beautiful floral bouquet, and this is my pussycat. Her name's Lily. And anyway, so I wanted to share with you a fun technique where you can create a decorative edge using a coordinating die. So because this is a bouquet, it's a nice big image, I thought it'd be great to share two different ways to do this with you. I'm starting with a piece of Nina white cardstock. This is the 80 pound, and I've got it in my MISTI. Now I have got a bit of a shim there, you might be able to see, and that's just because this is such a large stamp. I wanted to try this technique. Normally I would have adhered my cardstock onto the MISTI itself, but I saw this and I thought I'd give it a go. I'm using some of the permanent black ink from Altenew today because I want to do some artist marker colouring, and by having it in my MISTI I can restamp if I need to. I wasn't sure if I was going to have to come back in and do that, but I didn't in the end. The colouring technique that I'm going to be using today is what I like to call messy colouring with alcohol markers, and basically I'm just laying down a wash of colour on each of the petals, and I've done this before and have only ever done it I think with one solid colour. Today I decided to come in and blend two colours that weren't or aren't technically compatible and just see how that went, because it's a lovely big bouquet. These flowers are huge really for a card size, and I thought it'd be a real statement, pardon the pun, to have them in really bright bold colours. So the lids are off to the side. I did use like an orange and a pinky colour, and I think it worked really well. I find it difficult to restrain myself and not make that perfect blend, but sometimes you just want to get that colour down and have it look a bit more washy rather than that perfect sort of petally look. I have grabbed a couple of the greens as well and done exactly the same thing with them. So my dilemma was I wanted to colour with the artist markers, but I don't like to see the bleed through colour on the other side, on the inside of my cards. So I wanted to be able to die cut the edge, but then I also wanted to back it and not be able to see it. So this is how I got around that and created my decorative edge. So I'm lining up the coordinating die and just holding that in place with some low tack tape. This tape I'm adhering to the right hand side because that's going to be cut away. And I've kind of worked out here where I want to cut my edge to, so I can see where the die is, and I'm using a normal cutting sandwich for a thin wafer die, and I've made a tick mark on the back of my card panel so I can see where I need to cut to. And then where I want cut away is where I have the double plates, if that makes sense, because that's where it's going to put pressure on the die itself and cut it away. Anywhere that the two plates aren't, the die isn't going to cut. So because I only had the plate over that right hand portion of my image, that only cut that side. Now don't throw this away, this is very important. This is the template that you can use to create the base of your card and make sure it's going to be cut in exactly the same spot. So I'm holding it in place. Now this is going to be a side fold landscape card. I'm holding the edges in place. I've still got that piece of cardstock adhered on there. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. So I'm going to cut away that right hand portion of the card front, made a tick mark on the back of my card, and I can just roll that through my machine. It's only going to cut where the two plates are putting pressure on the actual die. I didn't use my Gemini Junior for this because I find there's a lot of pressure on the Gemini itself, and I was a bit concerned it might add extra marks on the cardstock, but you could certainly do exactly the same thing with your Gemini. How cool is that? So I simply then just scored my cardstock and folded it. You could actually use a pre-folded card base for exactly the same technique. I just like to create my own. And Lily's joining me again. We've just been away on holidays and I think she really misses me. So she won't leave me alone. Look, she distracted me. I want to make a portrait style card doing the same thing. So I need to create my card base and I'm going to actually score it in the right place this time. This is some Nina 110 pound cardstock. Got it right, hey. And I am going to do this again exactly the same way as I did the other one. I am actually working on a separate piece of Nina 80 pound cardstock here, and I'm changing this from landscape to portrait, and I'll show you how I get around the little nooks and crannies in a moment. But I've worked out where I want to cut my die to, exactly the same wafer thin sandwich. Only put the die where in the portion that you want to cut, but you'll notice here it doesn't actually cut away the whole edge of the card. So you could do this with a craft knife and a metal ruler. You could do it with a pair of scissors. You could draw it and cut it away. I just happened to have a guide wire in my trimmer, so I used that to make sure I was going to have a nice straight edge there for my side fold portrait card. Keep that little piece again because we're going to use it as a template, exactly the same as you did before. I'm just laying the die in place again, adhering it with my very low tack tape. I really do need to shout myself some new pieces of tape. I've got a whole roll here. I don't know why I hoarded. Is it hoarding if you keep reusing, or just being thrifty? I think it's thrifty. And you've got this by now. Seriously, you must. This is like the 4th time I've done it. Made a tick mark. Rolled it through. Are you bored with it yet? But it's the same thing again. I can't reach the die right through, so I'm leaving the template in place and drawing it with a pencil where I need to cut and make it match my previous die cut. So, easy peasy. You could also do this if you don't have a coordinating die, just by stamping your image and cutting it away around the edge. Just would be hard to get the 2 layers together perfectly, but you could certainly do it on the front of a card if you colour with pencils. If you don't mind seeing the artist marker coming through, then you could certainly do that too, but it's just something that bothers me. So I've added some ink splatters and a sentiment there, which is from the Gradient Stripes set, as well as some black and white striped paper, which is from the Essential black and white paper pack. And to attach my front panel, I'm just using my glue tape. You could use whatever glue you prefer. And then I have already created the bold thanks die. I just did this with some black and white. I thought this was a nice bold sentiment to go with the black and white stripes and the big statement flower. Love these colours. It's just beautiful together. So for my second portrait design, I wanted to do a 2-tone sentiment, so I'm using the same artist marker colours here to create my own paper cardstock, and as I've already said, they don't blend very well, so I've joined them together. But then where that harsh edge is between the orange and the pink, I'm actually coming back in with the pink, which is the lighter colour, just to help it blend a little bit better. And I've got the Hello and Hugs stamp and die set here, and I'm just using the word hello. I'm doing the 2 layers here. I think it needed that little bit to pop it off this bold flower on the background. I've got some more of the black and white cardstock. You don't have to actually add some design paper on there. I just think on that inside panel it just really helps it to pop by having something behind, but you could stamp something or just leave it white, whatever you prefer. And then I just attached the panel that I'd created with the flower, which I'd also splattered with some jet black ink, and then attached the sentiment, sub-sentiment from the same set, as well as some enamel dots. 2 versions of a decorative edge on a card, both for a landscape and for a portrait. I hope you have fun with this idea, and I look forward to seeing you again here real soon. If you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the channel. We always appreciate every visit you make here. Till next time, bye.
Hello there! Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Alternate YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye!